It only took 8 years, but Howie Roseman, the Philadelphia Eagles, have finally done the deal, completed the trade of the century. Well, it wasn't a trade; it was a signing last night while we were sleeping. Marcus Mariota finally in midnight green. We're gonna get greedy here at Trending in the AM. See what I did? Starts in 30 seconds.
Holding gets around in front. Joel Embiid and Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here, DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Do us that favor. Head over to the DSM Media YouTube page, hit the like and the subscribe button. It's the best place to drop your comments, thoughts, concerns, as the deal is finally done for Marcus Mariota. We're going to get into it all today as soon as I finish getting all my work done here, sharing this fantastic show out to the masses. I am your host, Phil Stifel. You can find me on Twitter at Beard of Knowledge. I'd greatly appreciate a follow there. I do want to apologize to start the show. Everybody's got their sources, and I got my sources. And my sources said that Chauncey Gardner Johnson was going to announce his return to Philadelphia during Rosalita at the Bruce Springsteen concert last night, and it just didn't happen. So I let y'all down, and I apologize for that. So, with that being said, one last click there, and we are good to go. All right. Mariota is not a good signing. He walked off the Falcons last year. Not a team player. Should have gone after Brissett prior to him signing, obviously, with the Washington Commanders. That is an interesting topic and comment right there, Mark. We're going to dive right into it. So, obviously, the Eagles were, whatever you want to say, they aren't anymore, but they were in the market for a backup quarterback. Gardner Minshew signed with the Indianapolis Colts to go reunite with Shane Steichen, former Eagles offensive coordinator. He'll have a chance to start there in Indy, at least temporarily, a bridge quarterback. I believe the Colts have the 4th or 5th pick in the draft. So they'll probably draft their future quarterback there. They've cut Nick Foles, so it's basically Sam Erling or however you say his name, and Gardner Minshew in the quarterback room at the moment. So he's going to Indy to have an opportunity to start. Great. You knew he was going to go to a city to get that opportunity. That was for sure. So that opens up the door, obviously, for a new backup quarterback here in Philly. And Marcus Mariota is the name that Howie Roseman has brought in. A 1-year, $5 million deal, signed late last night. I think it was like 2 a.m. when Adam Schefter tweeted out. Do these insiders ever sleep? Or do they just have like 5 interns working their phones for them? Because, 2 a.m., but 1 million year, $5 million deal to be that backup quarterback. And there's a lot of mixed reactions about it. Mark's reactions, obviously, are half of what you see out there on social media. He's not a team player, walked off the Falcons, etc. The news from last year. Jacoby Brissett went to Washington for another opportunity to push to be a starter. If you're signing as the backup quarterback here in Philadelphia, you're not coming here to be a starter. You're coming here to sit behind Jalen Hurts. You're coming here to fill in the 1 or 2 games if Jalen Hurts gets banged up, God forbid, but it's obviously going to happen every single year, it seems like, which I'm okay with. I don't want Jalen Hurts to change his style of play as long as he stays on the field for 90% of the games a year. Obviously, the story is going to revolve all day around how Marcus Mariota almost became an Eagle on draft day way back in whatever year that was, back during the Chip Kelly era, 8 years ago, which would make it 2015. Yeah, 2015. We almost traded multiple first-round picks, Fletcher Cox, Sam Bradford, et cetera, to move up to get Chip Kelly's Oregon guy in Marcus Mariota. That's going to be the conversation, the sarcasm and all. But what I think is important to have as the conversation is Marcus Mariota the right option? Now, I don't think Jacoby Brissett was ever going to be on the radar here in Philadelphia. Jacoby Brissett still is a quarterback that's still a pretty viable option in the NFL in those cities that they're drafting a quarterback or they're kind of in quarterback hell because he could still win a football game or two. Marcus Mariota, he's a backup quarterback at this point. I know he started 13 games last year for the Falcons. He went 5-8, threw for a little over 2,200 yards, just over 60% completion, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He did rush for over 400 yards, 438 yards last year with where's the touchdown rushes? I don't even see them on here. Rushing. It doesn't even say. I don't even know where to look that up on this other screen here. It says everything but touchdown rushing there. Oh, there it is. He had 4 rushing touchdowns last year. So he did start last year, but I think it was pretty obvious after last year that he is not a starting quarterback, not even a bridge quarterback at this point. Spent the 2 previous seasons being the backup to Derek Carr in Vegas now, LA before that. Marcus Mariota, everybody is going to say, is the perfect complement to Jalen Hurts. That his rushing ability is going to help the Eagles not lose out if something happens to Jalen Hurts and he misses time. His rushing ability, his ability to run the RPO, his legs are going to save the Eagles any time that Jalen Hurts goes down. And yes, he can run the football very well. We know that. I know that. You know that. You know, I saw. I think it might have been a slightly tongue-in-cheek, but maybe it not. But John Barchard, tweeting out, earlier this morning, having Marcus Mariota and Jalen Hurts both in the backfield running trick plays. No, that's not what it is. But I kind of tend to lean to Mark a little bit here. First and foremost, we'll have to learn and see what kind of person, what kind of teammate Marcus Mariota is going to be in a situation where he's definitely not the starter. He's not in any form competing to be a starter, and in no way, shape, or form, even if he has to start a game for Jalen Hurts and performs really well, how he'll handle getting benched the next week, what kind of teammate he's going to be. Because there is no comparison, and there is no fight for that job. He is legit coming in here to be the backup, to be the insurance policy. And let's be honest. Like I said, I still got the Marcus Mariota numbers up here on my side screen here. He is a career 62% passer. He's not his last year in Tennessee started 8 games, 59%. He's got 1 year over 62% in his career completions. And that was in 2018. He went 7-6 that year. Always throws a decent amount of interceptions. I don't want to say it, but Marcus Mariota is a trash thrower of the football. He cannot throw a deep ball whatsoever. Honestly, I would have rather Gardner Minshew over Marcus Mariota. It's a good backup option. I get it. It is not a great backup option. I would love to see what Marcus Mariota's deal is with the Colts because I almost would have tried to find a way to keep Gardner Minshew over if it was just those 2 guys. Because at least we know Gardner Minshew can sling the ball, and his completion percentage also isn't great, but he can throw the ball. If Jalen Hurts has to miss 2 games, you're not going to win those games just by running the football with Marcus Mariota. Jalen Hurts is an excellent thrower of the football. He proved last year he is an excellent thrower of the football. And he throws the deep ball to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith so well and so crisp. What's going to happen when Marcus Mariota has to play a full game? And A.J. Brown is wide open down the field, and Marcus Mariota just misses him so badly. The only time I want to see Mariota on the field is during a blowout. Taking it, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. Look, I'm not enamored. I'm going to make a lot of jokes this weekend, and today on Twitter about the Mariota signing and the do the deal. And who was it, Mark? Was it the Cuz? Do the deal. Hashtag all over the radio. I'm going to make comments and jokes all day, just like everybody else will about it. Him reuniting with the guy he was almost traded for, Fletcher Cox. It's stupid, but it's funny. But I'm not enamored with this backup deal. Like, I just don't understand. I understand that in theory, on paper, he's a mobile quarterback. You have a mobile quarterback. You don't want to change the offense much when one, quarterback gets hurt and the backup steps in. Well, you're going to have to change the offense if something happens to Jalen Hurts and Marcus Mariota has to start because Marcus Mariota cannot throw the football the way Jalen Hurts does. I just don't buy it. I don't see it. I don't think it doesn't even go to the part that Mark commented on the being a teammate. I don't buy Marcus Mariota, the quarterback. I just don't. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I am. Maybe I got to go back and watch the film. Maybe I'm reading too much into stats and not enough the eye test, which I always talk about. He had one good year, really, in 2016, and he was still a 61% completion. He throws almost as many interceptions regularly as touchdowns. I just don't get it. I mean, the only comparison there is between the two is that they're both mobile quarterbacks. Now, I see people tweeting out on social media about the go get the UCLA kid in the draft late, like the 6th, 7th round. Then you get 2 Chip Kelly guys in here to back up Jalen Hurts. I don't care about that. I would have rather draft a quarterback in the 3rd round or something like that to be the backup. I really would. I'm gonna pull something up here. I should have pulled it up. I didn't know how this conversation would start or go, but I'm going to pull up spot track here and see who all the free agent quarterbacks are that's left right now in the NFL. All types, all teams. No, I want positions, quarterbacks, update. So free agent quarterbacks, there's a lot of them have signed already, obviously. But the ones that have signed, Minshew is being reported that it was a $3.5 million deal to go to Indy. So in theory, he turned down more money. If that's all he signed for is $3.5 million, then my guess is that Howie Roseman tried to bring him back, but Gardner Minshew wanted an opportunity to start. Minnesota, Nick Mullins, 2 years, $4 million. Baker Mayfield, you don't want him. Drew Lock staying in Seattle. Sam Darnold, you didn't want him. P.J. Walker, a 2-year, $5 million deal to go back up Justin Fields in Chicago. Dude, I would have been all over that. Hell, I would have convinced Case Keenum got a 2-year, $6 million deal. Mike White, a 2-year, $8 million deal. All better options. Jacoby Brissett got $8 million a year. So that's that. Other names out there, Wentz, Ryan, Bridgewater, Flacco. None of those names do anything for me, really. I'm going down this list here on the fly. Trevor Siemian, no. I mean, he's been known to start in a pinch. Josh Johnson, Nate Sudfeld, no. Jeff Driscoll, Nathan Peterman. I can't believe he's still in the league. Yeah, I mean, so Trace McSorley. Would Trace McSorley, Penn State guy, have been a better option? Maybe. Yeah, no. I thought it would have been a funny, hilarious situation, but no. That would be worse than the people suggesting you should have brought in Nick Foles to be the backup quarterback, which is ridiculous as well. Maybe Trace McSorley would have been a good option as a backup quarterback. Had a start here or there with Arizona, played for Baltimore, Penn State kid. I'm just surprised that that Gardner Minshew at 3.5 or PJ Walker at 2.5 a year, one of those weren't the options. But I guess when you're looking at it, get over it, Mark. Get over it. Temple alum. Yeah, I agree. I think that would have been the move to make. I'm just not enamored. I'm just not. I don't like the Marcus Mariota move, not because I don't know enough about him being a bad teammate. I don't know. We don't know, Mark, what he was promised in Atlanta. They moved on to their rookie, with 3-4 games left in the season. They benched him. He didn't like that. Maybe he was promised to be the starter the whole year. It didn't work out. They were still technically in the playoff hunt when he was benched. So I don't know. It is a Philly Friday. It is happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. I meant to say that at the beginning, Joe. Joe, I'm glad. Because I do want to say, it is St. Patrick's Day. I am not Irish, obviously. I don't own anything St. Patrick's. I put a green Eagles hat on. I couldn't find anything else non-Eagles green to wear for St. Patrick's Day today. And I put something out on Twitter this morning, Joe. My St. Patrick's Day statement. Bangers and mash are greater than corned beef and sauerkraut. I like a good corned beef sandwich. I love a good Reuben. But the whole corned beef with the sauerkraut all mixed in, give me bangers and mash all day. over the corned beef and sauerkraut or cabbage or whatever it is? Would you have taken Teddy Bridgewater? I mean, it depends on the price. Let me pull this list back up. Did he sign yet, Teddy Bridgewater? Teddy Bridgewater is still listed as a free agent. He's 30. I don't know when he'll turn 31. It might have been a better option, honestly. Yeah, I mean, he could throw the ball. He's a dink and dunker, though. If you remember that game against Denver 2 years ago, he's a dink and dunk type quarterback. He doesn't go down the field much. He definitely doesn't run much. Yeah, the Ian Book thing, I don't even know why they brought him in. They brought him in to be the third stringer last year. That's the quarterback factory, the Ian Book situation. So that was a no. Yeah, St. Patrick was Italian. Yeah, I mean, again, so the Marcus Mariota situation here as the backup quarterback here, I don't hate it, is what I should say. I just think there were better options. And again, I would love 5 minutes to talk to Gardner Minshew. So I would love to know if he was even on the radar for the Eagles, because $3.5 million for a chance to start in Indy with Shane Steichen versus them paying Marcus Mariota $5 million, I would have been better off, in my opinion, sticking with Gardner Minshew. Find a way, $5 million deal, because Mariota's a 5-year deal or $5 million deal for 1 year with incentives, probably based off of start and playing time, to get it up to $8 million. I would have done something similar like that, and I would have been much more happy and content with another year or two of Gardner Minshew. He probably just wanted to start, and that's all it is. You know what's funny? And while I was thinking about this backup quarterback situation and all the moves that Howie's, because we've got more moves to discuss, Darius Slay contract, Greedy Williams and whatnot. We'll get into it in a second. The fact that we only are worried about the backup quarterback. And last year's offseason was so slow moving. You know, we signed Hassan Reddick on the first official day of free agency. We didn't get Bradbury till later, Chauncey Gardner Johnson till August. A.J. Brown was a draft night trade. The offseason last year was super slow. And very little happened at first. I really think it comes down to, I really think at this point last year, the Eagles were still not sold on Jalen Hurts. And the Russell Wilson trade potential, the Aaron Rodgers was in the rumor mill, the Jimmy Garoppolo rumor mill. There were so many rumor mills of quarterbacks that Howie was targeting. And I say, maybe they weren't, whatever. The fact that nothing had happened last year early on is leading me to believe that they really were trying to find somebody else to be quarterback one last year instead of Jalen Hurts. And obviously it worked out in our favor. And I think that's why you're seeing a much more, I don't want to say aggressive, much more aggressive, Howie Roseman, just a much more efficient and quicker Howie Roseman this year. Other than Chauncey Gardner Johnson. Well, that is the position of biggest need right now. You only have one safety on the team in Reed Blankenship right now. I mean, there might be some fourth and fifth stringers, some practice squatters, but you've only seen, you got Kayvon Wallace still too. So right now, your two starting safeties right now are Kayvon Wallace and Reed Blankenship. So safety is the biggest area of need at this exact moment. Your right guard position, because Isaac Seumalo is still available, has not been signed or re-signed. The Cam Jurgens situation, everyone assumes he's going to be the guard. He probably will be. He probably should be. But safety is 130% the biggest position of need. There's literally no doubt in my mind. And I wouldn't, what's up, Mitch? Good morning. How you doing? What are your thoughts, Mitch, on Marcus Mariota, the new quarterback too in Philadelphia? After safety, I know this is crazy to say, Joe, but the next biggest area of concern is the defensive line, the trenches. The offensive line, whether you go with Seumalo, somebody else, or Cam Jurgens as your guard, you still got some depth there. You still got Jack Driscoll. You still got a great line. They'll address the depth in the draft. Yeah, but Joe, I've said it 100 times. They're probably going to trade out of 10. Their salary cap strapped. The pick 10 costs X amount of money. Trading back to 16 or 18 nets you more second and third round picks, plus saves you cap money. They're only taking one first round pick this year, in my opinion. One first round pick. And it's going to be somewhere in between 10 and 20 or 11 and 20. It is not going to be 10. It's not going to be 30. It's going to be between 11 and 20, and that's where it's going to be. Yeah, I'm still torn on the Jalen Carter. You still need defensive line help. Right now you got Milton Williams, Fletcher Cox, and Jordan Davis. They're your main three guys on the defensive line. Obviously, you need more. Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, and Fletcher Cox are all 50%. Well, I actually am higher on Milton Williams than others. I think he can play more than 50% of the snaps. So it's basically Cox and Davis rotating and Milton Williams, and that's all you got. So you still need defensive line help. But safety, you've got guys that can start. You just need depth behind them. At safety, you got nobody. Unless you're ready to turn the reins over to Kayvon Wallace. And I will say, there were one or two plays, literally just one or two, but one or two plays late in the season that he actually made. So maybe Kayvon Wallace, maybe if Chauncey Gardner Johnson does not resign, and honestly, the longer this drags on, the more I have no freaking clue what is going to happen with Chauncey Gardner Johnson. I really don't. If you can get him on a cheap one-year deal, sure, him. You got Miles Jack got released, and somebody else got released, another starting Pro Bowl caliber linebacker. Howie Roseman's. Everyone says Howie Roseman is a cap genius, and this offseason seems like he's manipulating the cap, kicking it down the line, whatnot, blah blah blah. We're gonna have dead cap money every year for the next 100 years. But his big thing is making trades, but also finding these 1-year prove-it deal guys. James Bradbury, a perfect example. Be able to find somebody like that, and then get him enamored with the city of Philadelphia, and then he stays on a cheaper deal. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with Bobby Wagner, Miles Jack. I know somebody, Chris Romanelli, told me yesterday that Miles Jack has got some degenerative knees, but if you can get 1 year out of him. Bobby Wagner, anybody, somebody to pair next to, somebody with experience to pair next to Nakobe Dean, whether you want Dean in the middle or on the weak side, whatever. Somebody with experience to pair with Nakobe Dean, I'm fine with any of them, but they got to be 1 year cheap deals. These can't be $10 and $15 million deals. It's got to be a 1 year, $3, $4, $5 million cheap prove-it deal, incentive-laden deal, bonuses galore for hitting certain levels. I'm fine with any of them, honestly. And honestly, the longer things drag on for some of these guys, Chauncey Gardner Johnson or these free agent linebackers, the more and more likely that they're in the next tier and they're going to be cheaper. And Chauncey Gardner Johnson, again, like I said, I'm sorry, my source of him coming out on stage during Rosalita, during Bruce Springsteen last night, he was off. He thought he was gonna, jump on stage, but Bruce didn't like it. So there's some difficulties with the creativeness of that song there of getting Chauncey. I'm just kidding. I can't believe a few people actually DM me and believe me that Chauncey Gardner Johnson was actually backstage at the Bruce Springsteen concert with Howie Roseman last night. What is wrong with people? But anyway, I have no sources. I never have had a source. I never will have a source. I would just be here to talk with you guys every single morning about what's happening. Anyway, the longer this Chauncey Gardner Johnson situation drags on, the more it concerns me that he is just going to spurn the Eagles. He has in his head this idea that he is worth X amount of money, whatever it is. Just make up a number. Say he thinks he's worth 4 years, $60 million deal, which what did Jesse Bates get? Like $64 million, I think, over 4 years. He thinks he's equal. Wow. Mark, you're dead to me. I actually kind of sort of am leaning towards agreeing with you. I used to be a big fan. I still want to see Bruce Springsteen in concert. I think he's a very entertaining personality, but over the last 20 years, he's gotten way too political with his music. And I don't want to. I just want to jam out and have fun. And he's become less and less of. He's lost me as a fan. Not lost me completely, but become less and less of a fan. He is not a preset on my XM radio anymore. So there's that. But anyway, Chauncey Gardner Johnson had this expectation he was going to get a $60 million deal, just making up the number for argument's sake. Well, the market has deemed that he is not worth $60 million, that he is not that elite safety. And I think he's frustrated. He's not just frustrated with the Eagles and Howie Roseman not giving him what he wanted. But I think he's just frustrated with everything altogether. So what I think is going to happen is Chauncey Gardner Johnson is going to sign a 1-year deal. He needs to take less to run it back, Brian. Yeah, I mean, look. So this is how I see it playing out, Brian. I think he's going to take a. He thought he was worth the exact same as Jesse Bates just said. He's not, according to what the market is dictating. So he is going to sign a 1-year prove-it deal, another prove-it deal. I don't know how much. If he thought he was worth 14, 15, I think the market value is projected to be 13.5 for him. He's going to sign a 1-year, $10 or $12 million contract and try to earn that big contract next year. Problem is, he might feel pissed or some kind of disloyalty, or so he feels something towards the Eagles management for not giving him what he wanted. So does he take that deal to go elsewhere? If I see Chauncey Gardner Johnson sign a 1-year, $10 million contract to go play for the Cincinnati Bengals, because I know he's been tweeting out them a lot, dude, it's going to break my heart because you want him to run it back. I want him to run it back. I want them all. Darius Slay, he got basically a 3-year extension, so 2 more years added onto his deal. Stretches out his cap hit through 2025. Saves us money. You know, you got James Bradbury to take and admit taking less money. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham both had bigger offers on the table. They all took less money. Chauncey Gardner Johnson is holding. Look, I don't, hate on any player anywhere in any sport wanting to maximize their financial value when they're at their peak. I just don't know if Chauncey Gardner Johnson is at his peak. I mean, he played 12 games last year. Played great in those 12 games. But he only played in 12 games. So the Bills are about to win the Super Bowl. Have the Bills done? They lost Singletary or Devin Singletary. I don't even know if they've done anything. So I don't know about that. The Jets, I've been told the Jets are. If you guys didn't see it, I tweeted it out yesterday. The Jets are now the 4th favorite to win the Super Bowl at 10-1 odds. They got higher odds than they got the same odds as the Eagles and higher odds than the Bengals, who were in it 2 years ago and almost again last year. Ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers is not even officially a Jet yet, and they're the 4th favorite. And Jets, I tweeted it out, and Jets fans were blasting me for calling the Jets out and saying they stink. We got Connor McGovern, game over. Yeah. Move on. Chauncey Gardner Johnson, back to him. Did you guys re-sign at Buffalo? Poyer, didn't I see that Jordan Poyer stayed there? And a pretty cheap deal as well. And that's the thing. Is there something happening with the safety market that safeties are not going for what they think they should go for? And something there is what's going on. This whole Chauncey Gardner, it's frustrating, but it's also showing that, some of his immaturity as well. I mean, the social media game is fun for a little bit, but it's not stopped. The tweeting, the subtweeting, the retweeting, the quote tweet, the deleting tweeting, the delete this, delete that, changing his profile picture, changing it back. Like, it's exhausting, Brian. It's exhausting. Yeah, they did get Poyer. I thought they got Poyer. But again, Poyer signed with the Bills on a cheaper deal because his free agent market wasn't what it was expected to be. I would love to see Chauncey get, like I said, I talk about him getting a 1-year prove-it deal. But, I would be excited if we could convince him to take if you can give him the exact same deal that James Bradbury got, 3 years, like $38 million, get him for $12 million a year, 3 years, something like that. Bills want Wagner. Look, I don't want to talk about the Bills all day. We're an Eagles show. Who Eagles wide receivers again? Come on, I think we've got the best wide receivers in football, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, at least the best combo wide receivers. You can have Quez Watkins if you want him. We don't need him. The Jesse Bates thing really kind of is weird to me because Jesse Bates got paid, but then no other safeties have gotten paid since. And it's just really weird that that's the way this is played out. Yeah, I think $12 million's fair. I really do. Sure. No, we went out and got Rashad Penny. That's even been. Yeah, Quez Watkins got to be upgraded. He does. The Falcons, there are certain types of teams that have to overpay. Otherwise, they don't get free agents. And that's why, Rio, that's kind of, I'll leave that comment up for a second. That's why teams don't win free agency on the first day or two of free agency, because the bad teams, to convince players to come there, have to overpay. And they just look at the free agent board and say, who's going to take the most money to come here? Not who fits this team, this roster, this system that we want to run. The teams that are patient, the teams that, let the market set itself and fill holes that they need with players that can fill those holes. They're the ones that win free agency. Just the guys that spend the most money never win free agency. Well, they win free agency according to the talking heads, but then they stink in the season. Look, Jesse Bates is a guy I love. I think he's a great safety. I wanted him on the Eagles last year before we traded for Chauncey Gardner Johnson. On this show, I said, trade Andre Dillard and a second-round pick and go get Jesse Bates. That's what I said multiple times. Now, Chauncey Gardner Johnson was a great cheap trade on, right before the season started. Could not have foreseen that happening. But, Jesse Bates is going to Atlanta, getting the big contract. Is he going to be the difference between them winning 7 games and 8 games? Maybe. But is he going to push them over the top and make them a playoff team? No, not at all. Miles Sanders went to Carolina on a 4-year, $25 million deal. And I will say this, need a lot more Saturday Pro Football. Oh, I actually like that name. I really do. I've never seen you comment on the show before, but if you're new, you have to subscribe on this channel. You'll hear me talk about it all the time, that I want all NFL games on Friday nights and Saturdays. No Sundays. I hate Sunday football. Miles Sanders is still good. He went to Carolina on a 4-year deal to be with his former coach, Frank Reich, former running backs coach, Deuce Staley. The Eagles just don't value running backs at that. The Eagles have 3 running backs now on their roster. Kenneth Gainwell, the young kid, Boston Scott, the giant killer, and Rashad Penny, who they signed for like a $2 million deal. Their 3 running backs are costing them a combined $4 million. That's a Howie Roseman move. And I'm fine with that. Not a good idea to overpay unless you are not good at drafting. That's a great comment right there. Fantastic thought right there. CJ also needs to understand Cincy and Denver path to a Super Bowl would be way harder. Absolutely. Not only are their team, well, Cincy's got a great team. And Cincy will be playing either in the division round or the championship round for sure. Denver might not even make the playoffs again next year. Don't tell me all of a sudden a few moves that Denver made that they're going to beat Kansas City for that division. So, yeah, the NFC gap is wider, and chances are the Eagles are going to make a deep – yeah, absolutely agree with you on this. This is a fantastic comment right there. Do free agents want to win, or do they want to get paid? And I'm okay if they want to get paid. I really am. You only got so many opportunities as an athlete of all sports to get your bag of cash. If you want to get paid, be my guest. And then if you want to later in your career take, shorter, cheaper deals to get that Super Bowl, I'm okay with it. As long as they're honest about it. And honest with themselves and honest with everybody else. I am 100% okay with that. I would love Friday and Saturday games. Absolutely. Friday night lights. It's my dream. I hate Thursday night football. I hate Monday night football. I don't even like Sunday night football. I got to work early in the morning. I got to do this show at 8:30 every single day. I don't like staying up late. I want day games on Saturday, and I want Friday night games so I can sleep in on Saturday morning. I want it so bad. Yeah, running backs are a dime a dozen in the NFL. I would never spend big money. And there's a lot of Eagles fan calling for Bijan Robinson, the stud running back in the draft, to get drafted the 10th pick. No, it would never happen. If I'm CJ, though, 100% after the year I'm going for more money. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Run it back. This defense was elite. I know we bashed Jonathan Gannon, but this defense was elite last year. They were. So why wouldn't you want another chance at the Super Bowl? Super Bowl, the team that loses in the Super Bowl loses a lot of players, a lot of coaches and whatnot, but the people that win the Super Bowl, man, what team doesn't want a Super Bowl champion on their roster? Yeah, it was all our favorites as well. But then again, if he takes a 1-year deal and Eagles make another run, he could make even more next. Exactly. It's a super tough call. But then Rio, no offense, and I'm not wishing this. Even if he leaves, I would never wish injury on anybody. He could take a 1-year prove-it deal, blow out his knee. He could. It would be frustrating. It would suck. and then he would cost himself. So that's why I never get upset when people want to take the money. I don't. I just hate it when they say, "Oh, when they give their press conference, I really wanted to be here because this team's going to win." When the Falcons aren't going to win shit, Denver's not going to win shit. You know that. But that's college. Forget that. College can play on. Yeah, let college play on Tuesday afternoon for all I care. I don't care. Let the NFL try to run college football. I need a lot. I'm not a college sports fan. I don't watch college football, college basketball. I don't watch anything college related. I'm just not into it. Bijan is a monster. Yeah, he might be, but I'm not investing the 10th overall pick in the draft. I'm not. If I'm a GM of a team, I don't invest a first round pick in a running back ever. I just don't. Just don't. If you spend a first on a running back, your GM is dumb. 130% agree with you. No. Maybe I'm a little biased. Maybe. But their quarterback situation still isn't the greatest. They have a great defense. They spent a lot of money on an aging Javon Hargrave. We know that. He still played great last year, but they just gave a 4-year deal to a 31-year-old defensive tackle. Offensive tackle, edge, quarterback. I don't even like drafted quarterbacks in the first round. I don't. Too many quarterbacks stink. And then you're in a situation like the New York Jets where you're stuck trading for Aaron Rodgers or being forced to trade for Aaron Rodgers because that's where he wants to play because you drafted Zach Wilson, 2nd or 3rd overall, whatever the hell it was, who was nowhere near a top 10 quarterback, top 10 pick quarterback. Teams reach for quarterbacks way too much in the draft. Way too much. Way too much. And then these guys get put with these undue expectations that they cannot reach quickly in their cities. And when you get drafted to be the top 2 or 3 quarterback in a draft, you're normally getting drafted by a bad team. When you get drafted by a bad team, you got bad coaches or inexperienced coaches, bad line, bad weapons, bad defense, bad everything else. I believe firmly, if I was a GM and I had a top 10 pick, I would be, don't care what my team is, I'm drafting a lineman on the offense or defensive side, and that is it in the top 10 every year of my entire life. That's all I would do. I wouldn't be mad about Hargrave leaving. I'm not either. You tell me that we lost. If you would have told me 2 weeks ago we were going to lose Javon Hargrave, Edwards, Kazir White, but keep Bradbury, Slay, Jason Kelsey, Graham, Fletcher Cox, I've been like, where's the contract? I'll sign it right now. Sign it on the dotted line. Zero doubt about it. Think about it. How many quarterbacks bust out because they go to bad teams with huge expectations? That's the problem. When you get drafted in the top 5 of a draft, you go to a bad team. Look at Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a perfect example with the Eagles of this quarterback argument. Jalen Hurts got drafted to be the backup per se, but he was able to sit there. There was no expectations, no pressure on him. He could be the backup quarterback. I talked about it on the show yesterday, Need a lot. That Carson Palmer, way back in the day with the Bengals, he was drafted 1 overall. He was given a clipboard and said, I don't care what happens. You are holding that clipboard for an entire year. You're not even the number 2 quarterback. You're the number 3 quarterback. Now, injuries derailed his career, but he became a good quarterback because he wasn't forced or rushed into anything. Look at Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest throwers of a football, not people, throwers of a football of all time. He held a clipboard for 4 years behind Brett Favre, 3, 4, whatever it was. He had time to adjust to becoming an NFL player. No excessive expectations on him. He was drafted, 20th or 24th by the Packers? Quarterbacks need time to mature, to learn how to change to the speed of the game. Yeah, teams reach almost every single year. I look back at the Zach Wilson year. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. Who was the other guy that year? None of those guys in my mind were football players or quarterbacks that I would have wasted a top 10 pick on. None of them. Yeah, you're right there. I mean, we could bounce around with the names in what order. Jalen Hurts was a 2nd round pick. It was like 50-something. I agree with that point. Quarterback should sit for a year or so. Yeah, I think because, again, remember, Brian, when you're drafted in the top 10, look at those quarterbacks that 1 year. Zach Wilson went to the Jets. The Jets were a train wreck at that moment. The Bears drafted Justin Fields. Nagy was still the coach then. They were a train wreck of an organization. Trey Lance went to San Francisco, and they have a good system and organization there, but they were a bad team around them when they drafted them. And who was the other one that year? I'm missing one. Whoever else got drafted that year. You know, they were all put in bad situations. You know, Patrick Mahomes went to a great situation with already a quarterback. He was able to sit at first behind, was it Alex Smith at the time? Joe Burrow is just a special talent. And there's something right there. Special talent is different if you're going to draft Joe Burrow, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. They're special talents coming out of college. And Josh Allen, the thing with Josh Allen stunk at first when he came into the NFL. He was terrible his first 2 years with Buffalo. He was completely trash in Buffalo early on. But Buffalo was smart enough to be patient and not rushing. Like, look, Zach Wilson might be trash with the Jets. The Jets are a terrible organization, poorly run, whatever. Making a huge mistake with the Aaron Rodgers thing, probably. But if they would have just, if you were going to go all in on Zach Wilson, then just stink for 2 or 3 years and let them figure it out. But no, they keep benching them, starting them, benching them, starting them. No consistency there with a coach or with a quarterback's coach or an offensive system. So you got a guy that's a fringe, should he be there? You got a bad team around him, and then you got an inconsistent message being sent to him. He's bound to fail. That's a problem right there. That is a problem right there. Take Mixon, Hurst, Higgins, Boyd, Chase, and the rest of the first-round weapons. Yeah, well, you can't take them. That's the sign of a good organization. They've built a great team around their quarterback. But coming out of LSU, you knew Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, had a swagger about him. He had talent, but a swagger. He also has a quarterback. To be a great quarterback in the NFL, Jalen Hurts has it. Allen has it. Burrow has it. Mahomes has it. You got to have the swagger, too. I know it sounds crazy just to say that swagger is a rated quality. Leadership is an underrated quality. Zach Wilson doesn't have it. Bryce Young, I think a lot of the guys this year, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, I don't watch a lot of college football, Brian. But from the eye test of what I've seen, that a lot of these guys are probably first-round talents, but not top 10 drafted talents, which means these guys are going to go to bad teams. Are the Texans going to be patient? Now, the Panthers, with Frank Reich and Deuce Staley and what they're building there in Carolina, it's early, obviously. But whichever one gets picked in Carolina will have more of an opportunity to succeed long-term. But what are the Texans doing? They've gone through 3 coaches in the last 2 years. They're going to take years to recover from the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Whoever goes to Houston is going to fail miserably at first because the organization is a disaster. The Bengals stunk so long they loaded up. Mixon on the way, Hurst to the Panthers. They can't afford all 3 wide receivers. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. We'll see. We didn't even talk about the other move that the Eagles made yesterday, and that was signing Greedy Williams. He's a cornerback from the Browns. Brought into a cornerback room. We obviously got the Darius Slay extension news yesterday. So you got Darius Slay and you got James Bradbury locked up for another couple years. One of the best cornerback tandems in the league. They went out and got Greedy Williams. I honestly, see, this is the thing, Rio. I don't know if Greedy is sneaky good. I think Greedy had sneaky potential coming out of college. I think he went to LSU. But he struggled. First off, to stay healthy in Cleveland. From what I'm seeing, I got Greedy Williams' numbers here, okay? He played last year only 11 games, 1 start. The year before that, he played all 16, started 8 of them. And in 2019, his rookie year, he played in 12 games only. Now, I don't know. I'm reading that he has staying healthy issues. But also, see, we got some comments. Greedy Williams is a cornerback name just the name Greedy in general is a fantastic name. See, now, this Mark, I'm going to strongly disagree. Darius Slay is not moving to safety. Neither is Vontae Maddox. No way. You don't fix one hole, safety, by creating another hole by moving Slay or Maddox from their starting cornerback positions. You just don't do that. If they don't solve the safety issue with Chauncey Gardner Johnson in the next 24 to 36 hours, you'll see a trade down the line, or you'll see a high draft pick to fight for that spot. How you can afford all that? Honestly, Howie Roseman just makes up money. I don't know. I think I heard a rumor he was selling T-shirts outside on the street, after the Bruce Springsteen concert, and he was using that money to fund some of these contracts. I am not sure how he does it. I want him to be good in the league, man. Again, see, I didn't know much about him because of, I just don't follow college football. And then he goes to Cleveland. I don't follow Cleveland. Then they're on the dead to me list for the Deshaun Watson, deal and contract. Look, he's a death piece, and I'm coming under some heat for this. You got Slay, you got Bradbury, you got Avonte Maddox, the best trio of cornerbacks in the NFL, and you got Zach McPherson as your number 4. Zach McPherson's been in the league for 2 years. What was he, a 3rd-round draft pick from the Eagles a couple years ago? He has done absolutely jack squat in the league so far. Darius Slay misses time. Not a games, but he comes out of games quite frequently. Misses 5 snaps here, 10 snaps there, 3 snaps there, whatever. He gets banged up. He's an aggressive player, okay? So that happens. That's one. You need a guy that can fill in when Slay misses time. Avonte Maddox misses games every year. He gets hurt almost every year. You need a guy to be able to step in there. Zach McPherson's not it. Now, the Eagles fans are coming at me saying Zach McPherson's one of the best special teams players in the league, and he did so good on special teams. Guys, do we not forget the argument we had 2 weeks ago? Why was Michael Clay being brought back as special teams coordinator? We had one of, if not the worst, special teams coverage teams in the NFL last year. And you're going to tell me that Zach McPherson's a great special... If he was great on special teams, we might not have the worst special teams team in the league. So Zach McPherson, I'm not going to call him a bust after 2 years. I'm going to say you need a better option as that 4th cornerback. Teams carry 5, 6 cornerbacks on their roster most years. You need to improve the number 4 spot. Greedy Williams does that. He's not going to have to start. That's good. Yeah, we all need to take a look at those books. I don't know what is going on there. Do you think Howie takes a cornerback now? No. He was never going to take a cornerback at 10. I stand by that. He is going to draft one person in the first round, somewhere around 15, 16. It's going to be a lineman, defensive most likely. That's what he does. See, Brian, if you're new to the show, at least I haven't seen you comment, at least recently on this show. I firmly believe you follow track records. Howie Roseman's track record is interior, line, offensive, and defense. He drafts the trenches or wide receivers, and that is it. You build from the trenches, and then you build out. That is what Howie Roseman's MO is. It's what my MO is, too. You have holes on that offense and defensive line. That is where you're going to go with the draft, in my opinion. Absolutely. This is something that isn't talked about enough lately. They have become a destination. And you know what? It's not just because we were in the Super Bowl last year, need a lot. It's because Jalen Hurts. You see all these players across the entire NFL chirping along. You got A.J. Brown chirping. You got Chauncey Gardner Johnson chirping. Lamar Jackson chirping. Aaron Rodgers chirping. Who isn't chirping? Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts is the ultimate leader in the NFL. He might not be the number 1 quarterback. He's a top 5 quarterback, top 4 quarterback in this NFL for sure. After 2 full years as a starter. He is going to get paid a big bag. He needs his big extension. We have no idea where the money's coming from for that. But he's going to get a big deal sometime this offseason. He's not chirping. He's not worried. He's putting the work in. He's working out. He's practicing. He's working on his footwork, his throwing, whatever. He's enjoying his offseason as well. He's got his new, young, pretty little lady there on his side. Let me tell you something. The Maxwell Football Awards, Mark, I know you know what the Maxwells are. Dude, I loved the tuxedo that he was wearing at the Maxwell Football Awards. Because you see all these athletes and celebrities, they got to dress all funky and weird at these award shows. And what just happened to a really good, classy tuxedo? And that's what Jalen Hurts wore. Jalen Hurts had purpose before anyone had an opinion. Absolutely. He's without a shadow of a doubt the number 1 quarterback in the NFC. Absolutely. It's like the cheesesteak guy. I love it. $250 million quarterback. He's going to get more than $250 million. In my opinion, the Eagles and Howie's going to try to find a way to make it an 8 or like a more like a Patrick Mahomes type 8 to 10 year deal. So to stretch that money out further, he is probably going to get $45 to $50 million a year, and he's going to get at least 8 years. He's 25 years old. 8 years puts him at 33. There'll be some opt-outs in the contract, but I would say he's somewhere going to get around 8 years, $400 million. He is. And how he's going to find a way to make it work. Yeah, what did Mahomes get? 10 years, $450 million? So I think he got $45 million a year, but that was years ago. That was a steal. I said it when that deal signed, that 3-4 years into that deal, it was going to be a steal of a contract. Mahomes is making $45 million a year, but Daniel Jones is making $40 a year. Just think about that for a second. Oh, my God. No, I think it's going to be more. Because, Joe, if he gets 8 for $360, that means he's making the same annual salary as Daniel Jones. I don't care that it means he's taking a discount to help the team. He's going to get paid more than Daniel Jones a year. Zero doubt. Real, I would not be surprised if his contract exceeds $500 million. If Howie Roseman makes it like a 10-year, $500 million deal. He is going to make way. Exactly, Joe. I love you, Joe. But there's no way he agrees to a deal that puts him on the same playing field as Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones Dimes is not it. Not even close. Why would he sign a 4-year deal, Mark? How do we get on this? How do we get on this topic here? The chirping, but still. 8 for 30. Okay, so my math was slightly off. I did go to Catholic school, Joe. That's a Holy Cross Springfield education right there. Not being able to do basic math. But still, that's still only $5 million. No, he's going to get way more than that. Way more than that. Salary cap. It don't matter about the salary cap. Howie Roseman figures the salary cap out. He is going to get $48 to $52 million a year. And Howie Roseman's going to use that 8 to 10 year window to stretch it out so that 8 years from now, when the salary cap's like $400 billion in the NFL and backup quarterbacks are making $30 million a year, it's gonna seem like a steal. It really is. And it's the way it's going to go. But anyway, the point of this whole thing, we got on this thing was because of this comment here. Where was it? Eagles are a premier destination. It's because of Jalen Hurts. People want to come here because his team is good. Not good. This team is great. They almost won a Super Bowl. They're one holding penalty away from winning a Super Bowl. All right. They have an elite quarterback that is the ultimate leader. And why wouldn't you want to play here then? Just look at James Bradbury, Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay. Well, maybe not Darius Slay. Brandon Graham. These guys could have gotten more money out. Jason Kelsey could have rode off into the sunset, retired, been a 5 years from now being in the Hall of Fame. But they all want to play here to be with Jalen Hurts because they know there's a chance at a Super Bowl next year. There's no one better than them in the NFC, so they are the favorite to get out of the NFC. Watkins, Quez Watkins stinks. He needs to be off the team, at least with the Eagles. Comparing him to what else we have. Look, we got to ramble through. I got 8 minutes left in the show. Haven't talked Sixers. Haven't talked March Madness. Only touched for a second on. There's no doubt about it. He's the best in the NFC. Literally, no doubt about it. There's not one quarterback even close. Not even close to him. He is meeting in Carolina, is what my source is, which is basically just perusing Twitter. And that's what everybody that says they have sources, almost 98% of them, it's just that they're just using their deductive reasoning from reading tweets all over the internet. I know the first city he was visiting was Carolina. But I would not mind Adam Thielen on a 1-year deal to bump. I would prefer Adam Thielen and Zach Pascal over Quez Watkins and anybody else next year. Does Reddick have a down year? You guys really don't want me talking Sixers or March Madness, do you? No, absolutely not. Reddick's gonna have another double-digit. I mean, it's been like 3 straight years he's had 11 or more sacks. He might not get to 16 and a half. But if you set right now, Joe, the over-under on 14 and a half sacks for JJ Reddick. For I can't even say his name now. Hassan Reddick. Not JJ Reddick, Hassan Reddick. If you set it at 14 and a half sacks, the over-under, I'm taking the over. I'm smashing that bet in a heartbeat. Absolutely. Inbound pass, 8 seconds. Sixers, I'm going again Monday night in a suite again. Yo, Mark, when am I ever going to get an invite to one of these suites? See, I have an inside source. He left Carolina without a contract. All right, so he's still out there. There you go. I think Minnesota did a mistake by letting Adam Thielen go. I know he's not who he was, but I think he's still a very viable number 2 on an average team. Great number 3 slot guy on a great team. Some team is going to luck out. I got to ask, do you think Reddick is elite? Reddick should have been in the finalist conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He might not have had the exact same statistical numbers as Bosa or Micah Parsons, but he was more effective as a player on the field than those guys last year. Guarantee it. I wanted him in Philly 2 years ago when it was before the season started and he was having trouble with Arizona. He wanted his last year in Arizona before that season started. He didn't want to be in Arizona anymore. I've wanted him on this team for a while now. He is elite. He is a top 5 to 7 edge rusher in the NFL. He's not a linebacker in my mind. I don't know if the most underrated player in the NFL, but he's damn well one of the most underrated edge rushers because he's one of the top 5, 6 in the league at it. Malik Beasley is still good. Elite, my man had a Hall of Fame performance in the absolutely super elite. Not just elite, super elite. Mark, I'm going back to this. When am I getting invited to one of these suites again, man? Come on. You got to get me into one of these suites, man. I haven't been to a Sixers game in years. Of course he is. Sixers play Charlotte tonight in Charlotte. The Sixers are 10-point favorites going up against the Hornets tonight. Yeah, no. You're laughing. Like there's no chance you're ever going to invite me. What a friend. What a friend Mark is. It's like, that's why Jason's friend 1, Mark, your friend 2. Because, you don't invite me places, At least Jason does. I always say no because I don't have a life and I don't like going out. But at least he invites me. He invites me to his poker games, unlike you, Mark. Sorry. You're streaming the Sixers game? Check out Mitch's YouTube channel. He always live streams the games and talks along with them. 10-point favorites against the Hornets tonight. Jalen McDaniels is probably not playing. Joel Embiid is just going to tear up the Hornets tonight again. I'll be curious to see if they change up the starting lineup at all. Yeah, exactly. See, even need a lot more Saturday pro football. It's saying invite me to a game, Mark. Hook a brother up. But anyway, it'd be interesting to see. I suggested it yesterday. Tobias Harris maybe coming off the bench because I think he's hurt. Something's wrong mentally or physically with him. I would like to see Tobias get a breather. I don't know if it happens, so maybe they mix it up, get him on the bench. I don't know. We'll see. And March Madness yesterday. I always say, watch out for those pesky Ivy League schools. And 99.9% of brackets had Princeton losing to Virginia. I don't even know. Was it Virginia, Arizona? Whoever. I don't even care. You want to hear the total violation, people? Total violation. I don't watch college basketball. I fill out one bracket in the $1 million thing on ESPN every year. That's it. I don't do bracket challenges. I don't know. It's a crapshoot for me. That's why I had my man Cole Thompson on the other day talking about March Madness. I went and submitted my bracket. Guess what I did? I forgot to hit enter. So I have 0 brackets in this year. I do have a bet outright on Houston to win the tournament, 4.5 to 1, just for fun. I got the under on the VCU St. Mary's game today. It was under 122. But you always watch out for those pesky Princeton nerds. Yes, they're nerds. Okay. They're all going to be making a hell of a lot more money than we are in the next 2 to 3 years. For sure. 30 million. Yeah, I know. It's tough, Mitch. It's a tough thing to say. But I'm not saying for good on Tobias. I'm just saying he needs to do something. Mentally, he's off. Physically, he's off. I think the best option wouldn't be the bench, would be 2 or 3 games Just get him off the bench. Just get him off the team just to reset his mind. I don't know if Virginia wins need a lot. I don't know nothing about it. All I know is Princeton won. You always watch out for those pesky Ivy League schools. You always bet the under in those pesky Ivy League school games because, yeah, it's not the brand of football or basketball that we know and like. What else was on my list here of things to talk about today? We covered the Eagles nonstop today. We touched on the Sixers, March Madness, and I'll say it again to end the show, guys, because I've got to wrap this up for the day because I got to get to work. It's Friday. It's a pizza shop. It's St. Patrick's Day. I got a busy day, so make sure you like, you subscribe to the channel, follow us on all social media platforms. I greatly, greatly appreciate that. Anything to do to help build the DSM media brand, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So I'm going to end the show with one of my early statements of the show. Yeah, well, I don't like calling names. I'm still a big Tobias fan. My final comment of the show today is Bangers and Mash is 10 times greater than corned beef on St. Patrick's Day. Give me a big old plate of Bangers Mash with some great gravy, some onions on there, all day long. I know that's what I'll be having. Two Stones, Jennersville, my place right up the street. They got a great corned beef and hash special, or corned beef and cabbage special, but they also got some killer Bangers and Mash on their menu. I'm going up and getting a plate of those today for sure. Everybody have a great day. For DSM Media, I am Phil Stifle. Have a great one. We got more comments. Extra sauce for sure. You got to get the extra sauce. You got to. Drown it in the mashed potatoes and stuff. Got to. Everybody have a great day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I am Phil Stifle for DSM Media. We'll talk to you Monday. Trending in the AM.